Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi everyone. I want to apologize before beginning this video that I had this code written out. Actually, I'm doing this video for the second time. My microphone was not working, that's why I had to create this video again. So I'm sorry that the code I wrote is already written. I actually write the code in front of you, but I have written the code and the audio quality was really terrible. I could not possibly upload that video. This one is comparatively better. So today we'll be talking about static and global variables. These are two separate things. There's a thing called static, which means something, and then there's things called global variables and local variables. Global and local variables. And there's static variables. These are not two types. These are two types, and this is a completely different thing, which is similar to the keyword final, abstract, and more. So without further delays, let's start. Okay, so I'm creating a variable which is called planet, and it's an integer. And I'm also created a static variable which is called atoms, and I've created a method which has another variable called planet, and there is also atoms ++ which will increase the atoms, and I'm printing out all of them. So this is pretty much the method I create, the code I created. This is where the method add ends. We're going to print planet. This planet is actually the nearest variable. This is called local, and this dot planet, the word this will give you the global, because there is already a planet over here with the same name. There's a variable over here, so that's why you need to use this to reach that. And atoms, there's only one atoms over here, so that doesn't matter. But if you want to create a planet again over here, it will show you an error. Not allowed. Planet is already defined, so you cannot do that. But you could do this in another method. That's what we did, and then that is called local, and the one in the outside, at the outside, is the global one. So that's all for local and global. Now we're going to see some changes of the local and global ones. Now you may ask, so what is static? Guys, static means that if you have a static global A, you create an instance and you add 1 and make it 1, even though you create a new class, it will still be the same. To show you, let me just comment them all. So here you have a class, static global class created. I have increased the planet with 1, and I've also increased the static. So run this. Okay, we have 10 and 1. Why 10 and 1? Because 9 plus 1 gives you 10, and 0 plus 1 gives you 1. Fine. Now I want to make sure that I do the same thing for the B class. So in B, I did not add anything. Let me comment it out. I'm actually doing all of this twice. I created that video once, but the audio quality was bad, so I'm taking the shortcut. Didn't do planet ++, or you can just say ++ planet. So theoretically, this should still remain 9 because I didn't change it. And let's not do this. let's just keep things simple. So now let's run. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I increased it 1, it's 10. Fine, I understand. I increased atoms, it was 0, it's 1 now. I understand. I printed out the planet of B, so I didn't do plus plus. Okay, so it should be 9, the original one, right? But I didn't do anything to the atoms of B. It should still be 0, like the planet. Oh no, but it is changed. It is still the same as it is on A. Or is this really connected to A? Actually, the fact is the static variable is like it's the same for all. So if you have a static global B, C, D, E, F, G, H up to Z, you will still get 1, because once this happened, the static variable changed, it has changed for all. Unlike non-static variables, they are not the same everywhere. So you create a new instance and it is restored to the original version. But static has no original version. It only has one original version, and that is used globally. You can say that's global for all. And one more thing about that is it can be called using the class name. So you can directly call it using static global, which is the class name, this one. It will still compile. Okay, how about I do this? No problem, it will increase, it will become 2. Okay, how about I print this again? So it was same over there, it shouldn't be the same over here, right? Well, actually it will be. If you run this, it will still give you the same result. It's also 2 for A, like this. This is the printout 2. So it doesn't matter where you run from. Static is static, so it will not change. So that was all about static. Now the interesting thing is you can have a static method too, and I have it. So what does a static method do? A static method can do analysis, take parameters and do results, gives you a lot of, it's static method, it's good. And as usual, you can call a static method without the class name, because it is static, it can be reached from anywhere. So a static method can be called without the class name, unlike concrete methods which needs a name. Without that it cannot be called, it's not even created. But static methods are always created. So that's the primary difference between static method. Now what did I do over here? Now let's test the global and local variables. So in this method called add, I have a local variable and there's the global variable. I said print planet and then print this dot planet and then print atoms. That's all I did. Let's comment them out for now. Let's only focus on what we are trying to do with the global and local. So run. Okay, 100. Why 100? Because I said the planet number will be the one I send, and from here I send 100, so it is printing 100. But this dot planet is printing the global variable, which is over here, 9. And what's with the 1 and 10? 1 and 10 and 2. Well, that is actually 1 is actually the static state. Atoms was added, incremented, atoms plus plus, so this made this 1. And adding static had 2 inputs. One is what I send, which is 10, and atoms, and there was an increment, so atoms became 2. That's all. Now if you run everything overally again, Let's do some tracing. First we printed a ++A planet, which was 9 + 1 10. Then we increased atoms to 1, so I took first attempt, and then I printed out B planet. See, since I didn't do any increment there, it's the original version 9, but I incremented my attempts and I called it with the class name, which can be done. Both of these are valid, so it became 2. Then I started the add method, which adds atoms ++, which prints the planet I sent, so that's 100. This dot planet, which is, if it was A, then it would be 10. You want to try that out, you can do that. If you do A.add, it would give you 10 because the planet was incremented over here. And if you do B.add, it would be 9. But regardless, the static remains the same. Atoms remains same. So atoms was incremented again over here, so it's 3, and 10 is the original version of the global variable, which was incremented when I printed, and planet was 100. So this part is done. And now adding static, which is a static method, so it again increased atoms, so it's now 4. And then there is this printing of this M, which I sent, that is 10. So that's all, folks. That's all for static and global. I did the tracing. If you want to check the static additions, it's once over here, once over here, once on the method, and then finally once over here. So 4 atoms. This code is uploaded in the TSR or the video link I have that has all the notes. You can find it there. So thank you for watching. In the next video we'll discuss about inheritance, inshallah. Happy surviving, guys.